So much for choosing Morning at NTV as your preferred Kickstarter for the day to help you engage and make better understanding of the discussions and things that have transpired in the last 24 to 48 hours. The Kyagulanyi incident taking center stage of our Kickstarter this morning, helping us to look at the impacts of political violence manifesting within today's society. Political violence against opposition, has it ever been justified, or when will it ever be justified? Also countering the ceaseless political violence tide that we're seeing, and especially given the fact that we are building towards elections 2026. The roadmap is out and is made public by the Electoral Commission. However, the nitty-gritties of what happens between now and when Ugandans do cast their vote, as has been the history, 2021, 2016, 2011, and times before, you've seen a certain growth of political violence. Anyway, the institution of elections is virtually present in any contemporary part of the world, yet despite their aim of allowing for peaceful transfer of power, elections held outside the consolidated democracies are often accompanied by substantial violence. Now, acts of political violence from Besigye to the recent outburst on Kyagulanyi, dark spectacles which blend theatrically with media fascination and the Ugandan political psyche into a potent and unsettling drama. Now, this discussion does establish the electoral violence as a subtype of political violence with distinct analytical and empirical dynamics. It's upon this background that my guests in studio are going to help us examine the situation and the issues at hand, given the backbone of the National Unity Platform President's incident that did happen on Tuesday, leading him to be admitted and worked on in hospital at Zambia Hospital. And as of this morning, we do know that the story is quite different and pictures looking healthier. We do have the deputy spokesperson for the National Unity Platform, Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro, joining us for this conversation. Also Alex Brandon Kintu, Member of Parliament, Kagoma North County, also doubles as the spokesperson for the National Resistance Movement Parliamentary Caucus, all here to give us their 2 cents of this issue and what it really translates into the bigger picture, seeing where we are going as a country. I will allow them their salutations. My name is Priscilla Regina Deloga. Welcome to our Kickstarter. I'll start with my immediate left. Honorable, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm glad to be here this morning.
Welcome back from the first regional parliamentary sitting. How did it go?
Thank you. It went as planned, and I would say successfully achieved, and it was nice to be in Ghana. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Alex, good to have you back with us in studio. Good morning.
Good morning to the viewers. I'm humbled to be here and alive as well. Yeah.
Okay. Would like to ask you to give us the latest update regarding the state and the health for the National Unity Platform President.
The President is stable. He's recovering from the attempted assassination 2 days back in Bulindo Chida. He's very strong-willed, because as Martin Luther King said, Jr., that the unarmed truth will always have the final word in reality, because right temporarily defeated is stronger than triumphant evil. So in that spirit, we are still abhorrent to the calling of liberating this country, and in fact more energized to reasons as to why we are at the forefront.
Okay.
Due to still security reasons and common sense, we found it prudent that he be worked on in the rest of the medical assistance he desires at his home because of what had happened. The entire Zambia was under lockdown. the patients' access to the hospital, families of patients were all being affected because of the ineptness of our security forces. Okay. Yeah, so he's at home, steadily recovering, but very strong-willed to the cause of liberating this country. Okay,
all right. Could you give us an account of what really transpired on Tuesday from your eyes?
First of all, I was there. We had a private visit to one of our comrades, Council George Musi, for a word or two. And when we paid the courtesy visit, it was purely private. We did not go with our usual teams. In fact, it was covert. When we spent there about 2 hours, from about 3:30 to 5, because the president had particular assignments by 6 that had to be worked on by he himself, and meetings, because from Bulindo to his home, it is in the same promiscuity. If it was not for the bad roads and very, very, very unforgivable transport infrastructure, it would have been a 10 minutes drive to his home. But given now the very inexistent roads that I found there, maybe it would have taken 30 minutes. So we were running behind time. Personally, I was supposed to have a talk show, our daily talk show on PAL FM, and I was scheduled to appear with Emmanuel Dombo. So I was excited about it, and we were rushing to cover those programs. Very unfortunately, about not even half a kilometer from where we had been hosted, there is from nowhere a barricade of police officers about 10 meters away from where we are setting off from. And before we know it, they are charging at everybody, they are shooting, it's bullets, and all sorts of firepower. So we are wondering, what is all this about? Now, before we know it, the vehicle of the president is tear gassed and becomes inhabitable. But as it is being tear gassed in that fracas, about 4, as you look in the video, 6 young men in the red attire, in the people power attire, are being hounded, are being beaten, are being tortured on the ground, led by a former NRM candidate who is now a police officer in Kampala Metropolitan. That also is something we must investigate. A partisan individual is now heading such a very, very unique police post in the Kampala Metropolitan area. Then it speaks to the insecurities that we have. And this excited officer, who is supposed to be commanding and giving leadership of whatever is happening with the operation, is himself involved in the human torture, degradation, abuse and assault of the citizens, kicking them on the head, private parts, and this is a decorated officer. That was one of the most unfortunate. So as leaders, sometimes you have to prevail with your team, but also with the security team, because that respect must exist if at all we are having the chest thumping, so-called community police, something, as much of our money has been spent on that. So before anything happens, they shoot a tear gas canister on the left leg of the president. It was a direct shot. Before we know it, first we did not know what exactly had been shot at him. We rush, put him into the vehicle, drive to a nearby clinic, and as we are driving to that nearby clinic, we are still being hounded, we are still being pounded by all types of firepower. tear gas, bullets. Even in the clinic, it was, I think it's about four floors. On the 4th floor where we were with the patients, we were still being tear gassed. That is how immoral it sounds. That is how unethical it sounds by the police.
Alex, let me go back a little bit. When you were having this engagement with police, was there an official, interaction with them telling you that this is the reason why we are doing this? This is the reason why we are managing the situation?
There was nothing. And you know, it was an ambush because we were in a dead end. The residence of our colleague and where they parked, it was a dead end. So whatever they would have wanted to do to us, they had the ability to do it. And from the onset, as they were coming, as you're seeing the videos, they were charged as they were coming to us. And whoever they found, they beat. They handled with all sorts of bad mannerism.
Okay.
And we rushed to that clinic. I want to thank the Najim Health Center of Bulindo for being swift. First of all, for also accepting to receive the type of patient that we were taking to them. He is one where people would have easily scattered away. So I want to thank the professionalism at that clinic. And when he received the first aid there, we discovered that the matter could not be fully handled by them because the leg had received some fragmentation. There was that bleeding, and then they themselves referred us to Zambia, where we were comfortable, being that part of our medical team is in Zambia. When we arrived in Zambia, he was subjected to thorough medical checkup, went through x-rays, and then, thank God, it is something that needed what medically is termed as a minor surgery.
Okay.
He had a few fragmentations that have since been removed, and he's slated for recovery. But of course, it was so barbaric and bizarre for our security forces to act in that ill-mannered way.
Mr. Kintu, differentiating when an act of violence is criminal and when it's political can be tricky, especially in line of the account that Alex has given us here, and also what the police have been saying over this particular matter. Was it politically intended against the National Unity platform, or was it an accident tweaked to be made to look like a political scene?
First of all, the whole action is regrettable. The Honorable Kyagulanyi is not an ordinary person. He's a former legislator. He is a celebrity at all circles, and he's a party leader in this country. I remember at one time when Raila Odinga lost, and then they attempted to deny him access VIP at the lounge at the airport. I was on the same airport. And then some people asked, if Raila Odinga is not a VIP, now who is a VIP in this country? So what happened is regrettable, and as a member of Defense and Internal Affairs Committee, we already interacted with our chair of defense. We oversee police. We have written to police to come and explain what happened. Because whether political or human rights are human rights, you cannot start putting difference. It's like poverty. You can't say, well, in Uganda now we have new forms, we have the new poor, but such acts are condemned, because today is the Honorable Kyagulanyi, tomorrow will be Waiswa, tomorrow will be me. So we strongly condemn. We would now expect the Human Rights Commission to come out, condemn. Actually, in civil society, in civil communities, we would be standing, because this is a political leader. Just imagine, we would like to thank God that at least he got some injury on the leg. But just, God forbid, if something happened and he was shot dead, what would Uganda be now? Yeah? So we shouldn't really take things all for serious. They told us they were coming. Alex was there, he's explaining to you what happened. So that's not a matter of discussion that whether it was political. He wasn't conducting any political rally. He was from a private meeting, walking. So why would you, I call upon actually our agencies, especially police. I saw the spokesperson yesterday saying, we are going to handle individually. Let it not be a statement on the TV. We should take action. And I want to promise you that as a committee, we demand fair report because such things will keep on happening. So I don't want to go political, so whether it was, because there's no political activity.
You're demanding for a report. What exactly are you demanding?
Yeah.
Who made the order?
We have footages that
they deployed?
I was not.
How did they conduct themselves?
I was actually not there. We saw footages that were shocking on the social media. So I'd like to know, police also has cameras. How, what did, and then the commanders, of course, as a commander, I don't think any other private or constable can take up a command in action without being commanded. So the first people that would be arrested to answer would be the commanders. Because these are mistakes that are stressing us, especially to us who are in the NRM, explaining. You had Alex literally saying there is a former an NRM aspirant. We are interested to know, because police should be partisan, and when they do recruitment, I don't think they should really be chaired to any political affiliations. So if we're talking about patriotism, we should know. So we need to know the commanders and also these people. I don't know how far it goes in forces. If I'm given a command as a sober officer who is on duty, I can still go. So I don't want to drill into politics, whether it was a political stage managed. I don't think I'll wake up from my house in Buenge and walk on the street to go and be knocked on the road to get sympathy because of politics. So that we should rule it out. So as a country and as leaders, we stand to condemn that and also strongly check our security forces to behave. Because this is not right. Uganda has not reached that. It's a free democracy. We are grumbling your right, but let us respect, and rights are rights. Okay,
I'm going to come back to the security checks that we have to do, because this is simply just the beginning of the pressure that is building up towards election. Alex Waiswa, you did make a statement and said that attempted assassination.
Yeah.
Why do you refer to it as an attempted assassination?
Well, first of all, this is a projectile. Anything that has that is shot from a gun, apart from, I think, flowers or powder, is harmful. And these it's a canister. A canister blows up. You know, there is a young man called a pharmacist, Makerere student, who was a resident of Lumumba, who has no hand today because I think he's called Sebuganda. He has no hand because of a tear gas canister. He was amputated fully. If you remember in Masaka on the 31st of December, before the murder of Frank Senteza, you know that Ashraf Kasiri, who was being rushed to hospital up to now, has undergone several brain surgeries as a result of a tear canister shot at him in that military operation that happened during an election. I will give you an example of Dan Magic. You remember the projectile that was thrown on the president's car that later fragmented to tearing up the dental formula of our brother Dan Magic. Up today, he's undergoing several surgeries. So we do not take it lightly. Probably the one who shot on target was the one who shot the projectile, and it went to the leg. Imagine if it was the bullet that had caught up with him. The issue of the action of attempted assassination comes from the mens rea. You know, in criminal, it is the actus reus and the mens rea that are of concern, where the mind moves with the action. In the several videos that you're going to hear, the gentleman, the former candidate from Rubabo, NRM ticket, was giving orders to shoot him. Now, if you have about 6 people, and the highest and the most VIP is with you, then there are orders from the commanding officer to shoot a particular person, and then a person is shot. That in law will form the locus of both the actus reus, the act of shooting, but also the mind, because there was an order given. Now, without doubt, and severally, this is not the first attempt. There was an attempt in Arua, where later the police came out with still a conflicting story of him having guns, which have since become ice cream. You know very well that there was an attempt on his life still when he was living in Entebbe, when he was abducted. So the pattern, the circumstantial and collaborative evidence on his life, and the statements that have been spoken by the leaders of the forces, you have had General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni severally celebrating the humanization of our leader in public. I can tell you without doubt that part of the problem is even in the training. Today, police officers, we have got this intelligence as National Inter-Platform and the People Power Movement, that the NUP has been classified to these in these trainings of upcoming security officers as a militia, and that is wrong. Classifying a registered political party as a militia in training of people who will be handling guns and getting into confrontation with these people is from the onset a wrong ideology. That is why we are descending to this archaic rebel-like behavior of the NRA.
Okay.
And these patterns, the attempt on his life, the words that have been spoken. I have heard a presidential advisor asking the police why they did not shoot the head, and this is a presidential advisor. So if you have to a level of a presidential advisor being unsatisfied with why they were shooting to disable rather than to kill, then we are right to tell you that it was an attempted assassination.
Mr. Kintu, the accounts that have been mentioned all have never had publicly produced conclusive reports of the engagements, what exactly transpired, and reprimanding of officers and justice being delivered, especially in line with the conduct of security forces and in line with the human rights violations that are upon the people that get to be affected by these altercations. Why is that, and why should this case be so special that we shall get to have a report and then necessary measures are taken?
I think every scenario that happens, there is an activity. I did follow not so closely what happened in Arua, but we were conducting a by-election. And then this incident of yesterday or Tuesday, it's also quite different. There's an activity. When you are into elections, there are so many forces and charges. Different actors look at winning. Some people don't have a mind that I should go win and lose. Some people go and put in all, so they go beyond. And sometimes it's very difficult for us actors, like aspirants, if you're candidates, you can never take control of your people. And now this was a by-election, or some, not only in Arua, because the Honorable Kyagulanyi has been elsewhere. He has been also in Jinja East. He has been in so many facilitating and sometimes claiming win. So the actors, the people are supporting also, they go beyond just the way the security forces can go. But what is unique, I have been affected in a by-election. I went to court in 2016. We got a by-election in 2017. I was an independent. I saw the whole government. I'm very lucky that I had two governments, the opposition government and the ruling government, to come to Kagoma to fight me. So a lot happened in the nature. As a human being, I got interested. I was going to court again. Then I evaluated myself. There was lots of violence. We even committed ourselves to the civil society board signing. We should not fight. We still fought just immediately after the meeting. So it's very unfortunate that the reports probably they have not been come out clearly and discussed in public. Sometimes people will say, yeah, well, these are security issues. You heard what they said, where they would compare guns to ice cream. Saying, and then it's also very unfortunate that people would make serious, would make reckless statements in serious issues. Because if it's a matter of life and death, and then you just make, as if you are discussing issues of making mandas or biscuit, I don't think where there is a loss of life, where there is violation of rights, you can make jokes. These are public jokes that politicians tend to make. You asked me why. So the issue of Arua and the rest, those acts are regrettable. They are very regrettable. And I don't think we can continue lamenting and going on to that. We should just focus on a solution now, because this is our country.
Yeah, but
this is our generation that we should fight hard.
They are not the only acts.
There are quite many
happening. It's not only to
in the
National
previous
Unity platform.
Can we?
Besigye has been facing the same
exactly
against security forces.
I have a thinking.
So there's never been action that has been taken deliberately to give the public comfort, because at the end of the day, the public most suffers the wrath of the grass when elephants are fighting.
When we came here off here, I think there was someone who mentioned about struggle. We have had actors before me and Mufumbiro who have been there. Some of them have given up and gotten tired. So I'm not this person who would wish it has happened now. Can we deal with what is on now? Can we try to fix these wrong things? Or are we still also going to continue saying they happened here? Can we act now and see where do we put a better Uganda? Maybe those other people in those days, 2016, 80, people will tell you in the 70s. I sit and listen to the lectures where people want to discourage me and tell me, in 1966, you are not the first one to come. I say, this is the generation. We have no program of dying tomorrow. So we should take on the mantle and say, this is our country, irrespective of our political affiliations, we want to live in a good country.
In taking on the mantle, is the political violation ever going to be justified in Uganda?
Well, that also takes a lot of, I hear people talk about mindset. We need to have a lot of civic education. We need also to appreciate our environment. Now let's look at what happened on Tuesday. To some people who are soberly right would say, why? They are asking, why would this happen? So if you're in position of commanding, if you're in a position of protection and leading, why would you even allow such a thing to happen? So if we try to answer the whys, we shall be able. If we try to be civil and have issues discussed, I have a former member of parliament who represents the constituents where I am. He told me one day that we are tired and we shall never go back to guns. We are fighting with hands and pens, like the way you are using a pen. That's Dr. Frank Nabuso. So we should change. And I want to promise you things are changing. Things are changing. The arrogance in politics, the mishaps of saying, I mean, it should be me or it's us. Without us, nothing can happen. Those should be answered now. And I want to tell you, society has changed. Recently, I've been interacting with university students in debates and discussion. The way we look at things is totally, totally different. So a lot will happen, a lot has happened, but now, how would we solve this? Like, we should stand and all say, this is wrong. Things that are violating us. We had here a man who was very powerful, who was called a super minister, I think holding over 3 or 4 ministries, and they enacted a law. A young recruit of about 3 years in police stopped him crossing the bridge and said, sir, you can't go back because you enacted this law. He did not know that at one time he will be affected. So as we also try to do things, we have to be mindful that time will come, unless you really think Uganda is not your country and you are going to go away. So to me, discouraging what happened, we are trying, and the political atmosphere has really changed. At Parliament there, we have a very big, strong, young, vibrant opposition members of Parliament. We relate. Initially, we used not to think we would have a conversation, and this conversation should be from there. I told you our committee has summoned this policy. If our committee strongly, where we share views with the NUP members of Parliament, we strongly say, these are recommendations, these findings, and we would like these resolutions to be put at serious record. Not on record of writing, but let actions be taken. Already we are just finding issues. Honorable
Kintu, let's take 2 scenarios. The Tuesday scenario, let's look at the scenario where the National Unity Platform had their regional tour, mobilization tour to Western Uganda. The very same Uganda police was very candid in nature in supporting them keep law and order as they maneuvered different parts of Western Uganda. There was no chaos there. That was a politically affiliated engagement that they were having, and they had as much support as they did. This is a private engagement that individuals are having, one amongst another, and the altercation that comes out from their engagement is quite disturbing. So help me balance the boat in law and order there, how one scenario which was entirely private turns out to the extent of almost injuring and almost taking a life and other lives with the human rights violations we've seen through the videos versus a whole National Unity Platform party and its people in Western Uganda and them not having this kind of incidences?
Yeah, well, when we are asking for jobs, when police is doing recruitment, all forces, I don't know what kind of yardstick they use, but some people join forces. Traditionally in Busoga, where I come from, some people think certain courses are for specific people. They will say, well, you have not performed, at least go and become a teacher. Or go and join police or the army. It should be something with a passion and career well guided. Now, these police officers, they keep law and order. They are supposed to be custodians, and I believe in one of their trainings they should be able to value a few concepts of rights. So how they are recruited, you recruit somebody who just wants a job. I'm tired of being poor, I need a job. So we need also to scrutinize that. And then also the level of engagement. Now, the Larrys, NUP and police engaged, and it's not the first time they've been doing, and parties. Elsewhere, other parties are doing the same, and it's a very good question, how come? Now, that I will note, of course, the institution and the commander, like what Alex says, who was saying, I wasn't there, he was there, that shoot. That was also a wrong command, shooting on what? Who had what? I don't think, privately or in a diplomatic world, if Honorable Kyagulanyi is armed, it's a right, because he deserves his entitlement. But if he also had to draw the gun, just imagine, because the law is also clear, if you have a gun and somebody is trying to get close to you, you draw a gun to this person. But soberly, he said, well, I will not do that. Now, that was extremely long. That's a very, very incompetent act from the commanders. And also these guys who are handling, that's why I came to the issue of human rights. If they ever had some kind of orientation during their trainings on how do you preserve and how do you conduct. And this was a private one. If they had not even brought it up, no one would have known it in this country, but it's world over. Exactly. That the president of the National Unity Platform was coming from a private meeting, and then he was sabotaged and all this came. And like he said, before God there is no sin that is small. All sins are equal. When I attempted to become a Catholic priest, what happened in between there, it's something else. So even if he had just gotten a fracture, or he has a scanner, or he has a wound, that's extremely wrong. So this act itself is extremely ugly. And I don't think anyone can come out and defend, unless they want to justify something else. And it should be condemned, and I hope and trust it cannot happen again. Because I'll also walk maybe privately from a bar, and then I'll be intercepted and beaten, or I'll walk out from a function and it will happen the same. So that's why they should clearly come out and they should not try. Of course, some people, when they're deployed or wake up on a bad note, they cannot, but they should also know that sometimes they do acts that are referred to the institution. Because now this is Uganda police. These were men in uniform. Also, we are very used to operatives without uniform. So police should also work out in its community level and the rest of the things, because they have all these departments and we facilitate them to ensure that their men they deploy, and also the officers they deploy, they are able to handle certain situations, and some people when they are handled.
Alex, in that regard, the police officer who fired was identified by some people around the scene of crime. first of all, what do you make of the fact that the very same police, took security to his home so that their person is safe, versus what had happened? And then two, we want to know what's the next course of action towards this person as a party?
First of all, I want to state that the greatest challenge our country has befallen is the absolute move away from meritocracy to nepotism. Of course, you must look at things very critically. The head of operations, the IGP is Afande Kagoma. The head of operations is Afande Mwesigwa. The deputy is Afande Ruweza. The spokesperson speaking against this, speaking for this action of the type of police is ROK Tuma. The commanding officer on ground, a former NRA candidate in Rubabo, is Besigye. Now, and then the training itself is NUP is a militia. I think as a country we must get to these facts. What is befalling our country? I have seen in even other jurisdictions where people have changed their names to fit the issue of regional balance in recruitment of the armed forces. And the excitement of these people who are on ground should speak also to the excitement. You know, when Rwawogo was writing back to the tweets of General Muhoozi, he said that the head of the armed forces was a coward. Now, if you look at these acts, these are cowardly acts. So is the problem coming from the top, or it is a problem incensed with the longevity of the oligarchy? Because there is no sound person who has gone through training that would have commanded such a horrendous act from nowhere, apart from village excitement, surety of nepotism, where you are occupying the office rather than having merit people to do the job of keeping law and order. We are the only institution where back and forth our activities, we must get clearance from police. We are not any different from the days of apartheid in South Africa. We need permits to be everywhere, because now even on a private function we are being battered, dehumanized, degraded, and there's an aura of excitement to a certain fugitive of the rebels that took over this country because of what happened. In fact, others were, as I said, a full presidential advisor asking why they did not shoot the head. So it is very unfortunate that this is the type of force we have. And for me, I have said this again and again, that also this speaks to the collapse of the doctrine of separation of powers, where we are anchored for accountability as a democracy. Because if you had a functioning parliament, you would probably take it on with what my honorable brother here from Kagoma is saying. You would think that they would respect them, they would disrespect them, they will play around them, because the country is now hinged on how we go to the last bend of having a senile presidency, or have it the baton be passed over to the incompetent relative, either a Muko or son. So all security apparatus getting incensed to this by choice of even who they put in office is a challenge to the nation. It is something we as members of the country should stand up against and say no, because we all have the social responsibility, the corporate responsibility as Ugandans to go with what is right rather than what is wrong. What is the way forward? You know, we at the forefront, without a doubt, this is a calling. It is a calling that reminds us every day to absorb the fear, to pray to God to give us another day, and then to live to the work of liberating this country. So many of what we go through is part of the historical sacrifice that probably will be documented, but we are proud as a generation that the future will write that at the time when a few people were comfortable with the dehumanization, with the corruption, with the lack of democracy, with the incompetence of our security forces, there were strong men and women in that generation, led by His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi, who stood to their ground, understood the suffering, took to the price of sacrifice, but later liberated their nation from the dogs. So we are confident and solid to the cause of which we have been called in liberating the future generations from this acrimony, and nothing will wither us, not even losing lives. It is hurting that, what is very hurting that disturbs me sometimes and defeats my understanding of even how I can get sleep, is how we are dehumanized, is how we are treated as less human beings. It disturbs my mind, and sometimes I look at those treating us as less human beings, dehumanizing us, when the only gift they have is that one individual fooled Ugandans, took over their country, and their inclination or tribal relation to him is why they are where they are. So Ugandans, we should rise up. In the party, I can tell you also and tell the country, there are voices that are speaking. You know, when we were passing our constitution yet to be gazetted, we categorically named NUP. It was a big debate about being violent or non-violent. And there was a debate of non-violent. Members passed that the NUP should categorically state in its ideological orientation that we are non-violent. And it is now a debate from other voices who were in that room who said, no, we don't need to name the party non-violent. Let it be open. If it is going to be violence, the party should be able to build the capacity to overwhelm that gun violence. And now we are going back to that square. We are grappling and fighting with those voices that are saying that enough is enough. You would rather, as a party, take a stance on overwhelming this now organized, premeditated violence that is being orchestrated to the members of the National Unity Platform, to the leadership of the National Unity Platform, but now most importantly even to the existence and life of our generation of vision bearers. So it is very, very disturbing. As a student of history and a teacher of history, I know what happened in the reign of terror. I know what happened during the First World War and the Second World War. I know what happened with the Rwanda genocide. For us who come from Busoga at the time in 1994, you could not eat fish because you thought that a dead body had been thrown and passed. Because there is an effect on bloodshed. There is an effect on bloodshed. And these that are at the helm of the security apparatus should know that it can never for life be on one side. For us as a leadership, we can only do much not to see, because as we have noted, we are lucky that we are struggling to give leadership to a country that has been brewed with too much hate, nepotism, favoritism, abuse of human rights, land grabbing. Now, when you're leading such a suffocated, oppressed citizenry, it is not easy to stop them from busting up, as the Honorable has said. Imagine if not even him getting injured, not even being killed, but if it had happened in the morning. Imagine if we were excited leaders and blew up the country with different news. You know, this thinking that our leadership magnanimity will prevail always and over, I can tell the country we are only doing what we can, but at that time of the reign of terror, if that is the choice of those at the helm, we will be vindicated, because as leaders we will have spoken and spoken enough. You
talk about dehumanization, which relates to human rights, really. Looking at a comment that has come through from the chairperson of the Uganda Human Rights Commission, she says that Mr. Kyagulanyi is a national leader and not just the National Unity Platform president, and any harm done to him is a matter of grave concern to all Ugandans. And so on her orders, a team has been constituted to investigate and look into the matter of what transpired, and also come out with a report and their recommendations, which all comes down to looking at political violence and the continued excessive force that is used always, especially against the opposition in this country. Begs the question, what are the continuous effects of our state of law and order if it's to stay like this? What are going to be the effects, the ripple effects on this, on society, but more so on democracy, Mr. Kintu?
First of all, I would like to appreciate the level of communication when this incident happened. Some of us that just saw were also mixed in thinking what really happened. And when the spokesperson, who is also the law, was on the television, he clearly stated it well, because we did not know. Was it a gunshot? Was it a canister? Whatever they call it. And the communication, like Alex says, it was clear. The rate of communication these days in the world moves very fast. I want to tell you, some people made phone calls from my area, and the only thing they would say, you people want to kill our president, you have shot him. So the level that clarified the communication, that was very, very sensitive and exhibited a lot of maturity. And then also the messages that were sent to the Honorable Kyagulanyi by different actors in the whole world, because that's the only moment that you would feel. And then the people that stood with him to save him, and the calmness within the community that they exhibited. Here you can just knock a goat and people will reach you up. Now, where does this go? We are heading into a cycle that is very serious. We are into, for some of us already have positions. I was telling my brother here, he was asking, how are you? I'm like, man, the to-be's are overwhelming everywhere. The to-be's are all over now. Now, in the event when these people are struggling to take power, there are also so many ways that they use. I have a bishop, who is actually a bishop, if he's a bishop, but the words he uses, they don't actually imply into a religious leader, but simply because he wants to be a member of parliament to unseat Brandon. So as these things act, let us also know, and this also brings to us, Electoral Commission was given, we gave Electoral Commission a lot of money and time to carry out civic education. How do we have these leaders? We have leaders that are offering themselves into positions they don't understand. And even us as voters, we are voting wrong people. That's why we have all these anarchies around, that we want, people are struggling, the generation is saying we need change, these people are saying no, we don't want this, we want this. I remember one presidential candidate said, do you want change or you want more of the same? I think that was Mbabazi, yeah? That if you want the same, do this, if you want change, then come here. So as we head this, where do we go? Is that we must start the conversations now, like Alex said, that this is our generation. I love that. We ought to live here also. I get engaged into conversations, not even engaged, I listen, because most of these people don't want to be engaged. But you listen if you have an opportunity that they allow you to listen, and then they start telling you history. You know, there are clubs, like if you went to Ginger Club or here at Kampala Club and some other clubs where we associate in the evening. Rotary, sometimes they have development issues, but how it was, that's how they want it to be. But well, when you try to dive in, try to understand, you say, well, but I think we can change something. So I want to confidently believe that towards the elections and what we are seeing, we may be, he told you, I'm also a great actor, don't fear. Fear is a great enemy to success. And Mufumbiro told you that they are not fearing. They will not stop. So if you fear, you're having a great enemy to success. So if we start now, and things are better, things are not the same the way they were, that now we can have a fight of a conversation of brains which wasn't there, where you cannot express yourself. And you can run as much as you can, but you can never hide. At one moment, you'll be gotten. So I don't think this should worry us. Civility is being exhibited. We are accommodating each other. All that as actors and as people are participating in all these actions that we do, we must be held accountable, and also look at Uganda as a broader country and where we want to go.
Let's go back to history. 2021, the November riots. You do have reports that, you know, were done by the internal government investigation teams, giving us an account of how many people were shot, especially those who died, courtesy of stray live bullets. To date, there's not been any actual justice that has been served for the lives of those people, saying that so-and-so was the leader at the time and was held responsible. We are in 2024. We are tending towards the same cycle yet again. So chances of seeing this nature of political violence, excessive force usage, is most likely going to happen again if the law and order team, security agencies, the Uganda police were not put in their place. Then that means that you have endorsed whatever it is that they do. Not in writing, not in what, but to the public, you are endorsing what they're doing. If you can't sit here and say that, okay, a particular officer honest upon himself and made a charge towards a political leader for personal reasons or whatever will be established, and now the Uganda police is up in arms to defend themselves, it begs the question, are we having any justice? Should Ugandans have any confidence as they're heading into, you know, the election cycle, that there's going to be a better treatment and a better consideration of humanity at the end of the day? Before you're a leader, before you're an MP, you are simply just Mr. Kintu. A son of, you know, a person back in Kagoma, and a relative, a brother, a father, before you hold these positions. And so that consideration has not been fully addressed to give Ugandans confidence of how they should trust that the Uganda police is going to continue with its mandate of law and order. Which response we ask that you give us right after this break. 26 minutes to the top of the hour. It's still morning at NTV in our kickstart observation of what transpired on Tuesday with the National Unity Platform President Robert Kyagulanyi, who as of this morning has been discharged and returned home for continued treatment within the precinct of and comfort and safety of his home and family. Of course, our guests this morning, Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro, Deputy Speaker, Deputy Spokesperson for the National Unity Platform, also Brandon Kintu, Honorable Member of Parliament, Kagoma North, but also on the caucus side of NRM things. He was yet to answer to a question that I had posed to him in regards to the state of law and order, really. And you were about to give us your submission. Please go.
Well, I will not answer from the caucus side, because the caucus is not buying to this. This is a party association. But it was very unfortunate that what we are talking about also happened in my region. That was in Iruka. I want to tell you, one of the access routes to that district go through my village. There is one in Muguluka and one in Uwenge. and that's my birth town. So when the Honorable Kyagulanyi had a rally in Luuka, I don't remember whether it was successful or it was stopped, but a lot of ugly things happened. It struck up the whole national strike. Most of our banners, if you would have a banner or something close to yellow, was pulled down. Even in the most places where people, you know, people in Kagoma call me Msaimto. So that afternoon, I was not Msaimto anymore. Everything was pulled down. So that was a national crisis. What does that depict? What does that show you? That's already a statement. That's already a statement from the citizens. Citizens who are the Ugandans that we are accountable for. They made a statement that this is wrong and this is evaluation. As we wait the formal from the administrators, the citizens made a statement. And I will not offset myself from the citizens that made a statement, because we all said I would go very jealously and ferociously as a Musoga, say, why would this happen in our region? Recently, these Comet guys, when they make jokes, they joke about Musoga, and that's what happened. That can you ever ask a Musoga in Iruka that there is a ladder and they will accept to come? They will all run. They will all run away. So government also has seen this, but you know, in security issues or sensitive issues, any governance, there are certain lines they put, but they may not publicly come out and say, so Brandon Mufumbiro was held this and this and this. But I strongly believe some people have been put on record, especially in these operations. But we also have a lacuna, I think, in law. I'll need my brother to help me sometime after here. When you go to court, or when you report a case, we also have political officers, police in charge of politics department. And normally you have a serious situation that you report, the Electoral Commission will come out, because Electoral Commission was also supposed to come out. It was in charge of elections, and they are charged with a department of police, fully branded, given all what they want, all the guns, all the tear gas, all the money, and all the human resource. But I never had them come out with a statement. Now, when you go report, they will instead start negotiating you. And if you go to court or you go somewhere else, these are election cases. Even when lives of people have lost, have been claimed. So we need, I think, that's why I just hear the word lacuna. I need to understand it more. Where does it work and when does it? And when is it a lacuna? When somebody has lost a life or someone's leg is broken. That during this electoral process, this kind of violence, this kind of laws where somebody says if you've gotten doing this and then the next day you are nominated, when they are orienting us, they tell us, when you get son doing this, please inform us, we shall disqualify. I've not seen it anywhere, save for a few last year, I mean the previous election, where some people obstructed others to be nominated, but they don't disqualify, even after knowing. So the Electoral Commission also, this is a collective energy of irregularities by these institutions that we must. So as we look at these reforms also, I don't know whether it's timely, we still have time to bring them, or it's too late. We should look at all these things. That where is the rot starting from? You will say Uganda police, okay, Uganda police is enforcing electoral commission, but where is the electoral commission? Where is this body that is mandated to carry out this process? Okay. Where we all participate. As
the electioneering period draws near, the Director for Criminal Investigations Directorate came out to promise Ugandans that no one will disrupt the process. The Daily Monitor quotes him saying, "We shall crush any election disruptors." What do you make of that statement? Well, the Director of CID have made it Criminal Investigation Department. I don't know when he started organizing elections. And I told you we supervise. We oversee as a Committee of Defense and Internal Affairs. So if such arrogances are made in public outcry, and this is a competent paper, we are yet to know. So we shall ask, who are they, him and who? Because Uganda is a government that has institutions. So if you're a director of investigation now, where do you
wait for, if there is an election offense, wait, investigate, and come out. So those are the statements that I cannot even sit here on the TV and say, yeah, he meant this, start polishing it. The level of arrogance, this is not for Uganda. So I cannot say that my government as NRM can justify that statement, but individuals can make statement. But now you can see director holds an office, our public office that is very sensitive, he has made such a statement, so we shall question. And probably we need to know what levels is he going to use to crash, and who are these people, and where is his level of involvement. Okay.
Honorable, you have been just a regular, citizen and civilian, and then that changed, you became a member of parliament. So you have seen the level of security, excessive force from the two fronts, and you can compare and contrast. What would be the ideal recommendable situation for us to have going into the next elective cycle?
First of all, we have a very big gap between the electorates, the political actors, and the organizers, and those that participate. We only talk about the electoral commission during this cycle. I always ask myself, what does the electoral commission do? Tell me, between 2016 in May up to now, what have they been doing? Maybe there are those that don't even go to their offices for the next 3 or 2 months. They have only come out because the roadmap is out. So that question we have to answer. And I've been asking myself as a regular citizen. Now that I have an opportunity, we are asking, what is your program between May 2021 up to now? Have you just been sitting in the offices, or have you been carrying out? Are your regional offices have been operating? Let's look at the Uganda police. We look at it, and sometimes it projects as our enemy. Especially as the actors. We are running, we are chasing, they are told to keep land order, they are participating into this, they are fighting, they are arresting son. So where is the relationship? You who is in charge of community policing, a commissioner or senior commissioner, what have you done between this time and now? Let's look at us, the actors. You know, sometimes violence is enacted by the words. I can make a statement that can take place to this country, or you in journalism, you can do that. So we as the actors, how much, where is our participation? What kind of words, what kind of meetings? I would tell you, in Busoga, you'll find a man, I'll say this practically in Busoga, who has a position and say, so whoever crosses my way, I will kill this person. That's already violence. You are inciting people. There are some people, actors like us, who put sticks, canes, and everything. And now this is not government. I'm protecting my position as a parish councillor. In the boots, on the bicycle. You reach, there is a time we are contesting with some colleagues. We are now colleagues in parliament. So they literally came to our village and caned everyone in the evening, because we are supporting a candidate that was not in favor of them. So we as actors, and then also the people who are acting, especially the electorates, sometimes they go an extra mile, they may love someone and go beyond. They will do things without the command of the actor. And these are all acts. So we have a great job for all of us as we come together, as we go into this cycle. If we have proper conversation, but also the condition, the environment. If government and these institutions are not putting conditions right, the environment to be habitable for everyone. I'll give you an example. The worst, actually, I don't envy the Mufumbiros that don't carry out primaries in political parties. Violence begins in our political party primaries. It's a do or die thing, and these questions are never answered. That's when you see mushrooming, independence. This is all violence. There will be no respect in the electoral commission of that institution, or even the party itself. So people will start hate. They will not support their member. So it's a cocktail. It's a cocktail of things that we must now try. At least I'm glad that parties have started. I was very happy when the National Unity Platform opened an institute. Probably if I would be allowed to go and do a course short, I'll be the happiest.
Leadership Institute.
Leadership Institute. So we must have leaders that are being enacted. Previously, the UPC and the rest of those parties we love to talk about, these guys would have an argument. Like we're having an argument here, they would tell Mufumbiro, step down, Brandon, go contest, which is not there now, because politics is the most growing economic activity in Uganda. So that also is violence, that you are denying people who would legislate or bring order to this country. Not all of us are supposed to be in leadership. There are those of us who are supposed to be led, but the atmosphere and the environment must be favorable for me to accept that let me be led under these circumstances. Then violent issues will be somehow managed.
Alex, all is said and done, but the reality on the ground is still going to remain the same. And the National Unity Platform, being in the opposition, you're going to be facing the same wrath of state actors moving forward, especially with the electoral process building up. What are some of the resolutions and measures as a party you're taking upon yourselves to be able to stay ground and continue on with your mission?
We are committed by our vision. And we will continue being disciplined, but of course working towards how to overwhelm what is the obvious. It is in Den's eye that they will act the way they are acting. You have had a whole director of CID. Now, a director of CID, their job is to investigate and help in prosecution. In fact, a person working as CID is the first pinnacle of rule of law in the setting of court jurisdiction, because that is where the file comes from. Now, this person is already speaking with a premeditated mind. He is not saying that we will charge them, he's saying we will crush them. And it is such statements from, now that's the leadership of police. You will now understand why it is very easy for the person commanding in Bulindo to act that way, because his boss has chosen a word crash. Now, definitely, that is why we were saying that if you look at the actus reus and the mens rea, definitely you discover that this was a premeditated crime. That looks to be incest from the training pattern. And thinking that they can create such an act around chaos, create chaos around us, and then have a few people killed, and then run with the escapism of chaos. I listened to ROK Tuma. He is now coming up with another statement and another statement. I think we'll reply him when he comes out with his final statement about the occurrences, because he has shifted goalposts ever since they are in. What we as the leadership are going to do, we have stated oftenly, publicly, that we will build capacity of our people to overwhelm this violence. We will not relent on what we are supposed to do. We will remain committed and consistent to the charging of liberating the country. We will absorb the fear. But most importantly, I think we will begin vividly listening to the discussion of how to combat and overwhelm this now systematic violence that is descending on the oppressed people. It is now clear, if you're hearing it from the director of CID, if you're seeing the actions of the police, if you're listening to the people who took this country by the horns, then you discover that as a citizenry and as a party, we must devise means. We must listen to the now violent voices, what do they have in store, and also we must give leadership such that the country does not descend into the reign of terror. Thank you, Alex, and thank you so much, Brandon. Wishing you all the best in your individual and political endeavors as we build up towards the political cycle and electoral cycle once again for the 2026 elections. At the end of the